Welcome to Marketing Rockers, your podcast about video game marketing, with your hosts David and Linus.
Oh, but I played a little bit of Tony Hawk yesterday. Just a bit. Just before...
You still have the skills?
No, not... Well, I mean, some muscle memory is there. But yeah, I felt like a 10-year-old playing that thing again. It was so awesome. Oh, man. And there's Tony Hawk 1 and 2. So I have a lot of fun ahead of me, which is awesome. Yeah, I had another thing. Oh, I also noticed, and I sent Max the deal. NBA 2K21 is already discounted, €30 on Amazon. How is that even and on PlayStation Store? I don't know how that's... I mean, it's for the PS4.
But that seems to be common with the NBA 2K1 games now, no? Maybe it's because of the heavy-hitting premium currency? Or do they not have it? Or the advertisements in the game?
Yeah. But it launched a month ago, or less than a month ago.
But I think the last one dropped to €10 on Steam the next month. I know. It doesn't make sense to buy them right away.
I also thought it was a kind of new gen transition. So
yeah,
since you can buy the PS5 version is full price. I mean, there's no change there. It's only the PS4, but it's 1 month after launch, or less than 1 month after launch. It's a pretty good deal. I wasn't thinking about getting it, and now I'm like, I could shoot some.
But maybe it goes to 10.
I could shoot some. Yeah, I'll wait. Probably after
for Christmas maybe.
Yeah, I have so many games on my list for Christmas, and I still have Tony Hawk. So I'll lead with that, actually. And the question that I have for you, because you had the question for me, is what is your favorite game that you played this year? So it doesn't mean necessarily that it came out this year, but you played this year. And I know you played a lot of games this year. So
I played a lot of games this year. And a lot of great games too.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope the biggest one is still coming up, obviously. I took vacation for the 10th of December.
Of course you did.
I will dive into Cyberpunk. I'm even upgrading my PC just to play it, in all its glory, in the end. But there was a lot of good stuff this year. A lot of good things on a traditional gaming side, and also good things on a more experimental side. So this year I finally got to play a proper VR game, and as it stands, I would say it's almost the only proper VR game, at least if you think about single-player games. I was really blown away by Half-Life Alyx and the feeling that it gave me. I'm a huge Half-Life fan, and they really pulled it off well. You really feel like you're standing in this world. Suddenly the zombies are your size, not this mini version that you can dance around in a traditional shooter, but you really feel the weight of every action that you have to take in the game. And suddenly something like a slow zombie is super terrifying, for example, in Half-Life Alyx. And that was really impressive. And of course, finally seeing something that might lead to another Half-Life and kind of picks up actually after Half-Life 2.
Watch out for the spoilers.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying what is coming at the end. Technically, It's also a prequel. But there is something that hints to something at the end.
So there is...
After 13 years, that was Goosebumps pure.
So you're saying there is hope for... if you consider this Half-Life 3...
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not.
So you would say there's hope for Half-Life 3?
Oh, it's not just hope.
Okay. Let's leave it at there.
I think they're properly following a plan here, and I can even see how the VR games could be a further spin-off. That it wouldn't be the last one that they're making, but I think it will always be separate in the end.
One thing I found very interesting when you were playing that was the way that you got your VR headset, because I'm assuming everyone, or at least me, I would think, hey, I have to buy a VR headset to enjoy a VR experience. But you didn't do that, right? You didn't buy the equipment.
Yeah, for many people, I guess the PC is already the first hurdle. Of course, VR is quite demanding, although with Valve and how they work, this game is quite efficient. So if you have a PC that you built in 2016, maybe even 2015, you won't have any issues with this game at all. But then, of course, on the other side, if you look at current pricings on VR headsets, with the Vive being over €1,000, also the Oculus device is above 400, 500. Of course, it's very hard. For me, I only wanted to play this one game. Of course, it's very hard to argue. I have to buy something like this to play one single game. I already find it hard to spend that money on a console, right? And then only on a headset makes it especially difficult. But there are some nice options where you can just rent these headsets and just send them back at the end. It did set me back €100 about, but I had it for 3 months and could try out a lot of things. And definitely worth it to go for it. VR is very special. I do think there is a future for it as well. But currently just the barrier to entry is so high. I get that absolutely. But this was, I think, a first game where you can see this really could be something going forward.
But that solution is very flexible for people that
definitely
wouldn't have the chance to enjoy this. Or, I mean, not even people that don't want to enjoy it, people that don't want to spend that amount of money to get a VR headset, play Half-Life, Alex, play a little bit of Beat Saber, and then just leave it to the dust if they don't find. Because, I mean, there's not the output of games for VR that we have for other platforms. So you would say Half-Life was your favorite game this year?
Half-Life Alex? Definitely the most interesting experience.
Yeah.
Best game, that is rough to say.
No, it's not best game. Favorite game.
But if I think about if it wasn't a VR game, I wouldn't say it was Half-Life Alex probably at the end. But because of the perspective change, it definitely is. I would give out a shout out to Control. That is definitely the other game that stuck the most to my mind. Just the weird characters that you meet and the way the story plays out in the end. And it's an interesting game. I don't really want to say too much about the story, actually, since it is kind of the main point of the game, I would say. Although it also has a very interesting
at the same
power
time,
fantasy, where there's very little limits to what you can do, actually, in game.
At the same time, I would say you would have a bad time trying to explain the story.
Yeah, it is wrong. I was trying to wrap it out very quickly in 2 sentences, but it's
maybe not. No.
Yeah.
Let's see people to find.
Maybe it's a little bit like the never-ending story. Maybe you're too young. I don't know. There's a very famous movie.
2 years. I'm 2 years, 2 or 3 years younger than you.
True.
Come on.
But you know the never-ending story.
Yep, I do.
Yeah, so it's like a little bit like the imagination of all the people in the world condensed in a single place. Although not exactly.
Yeah.
Right, but it is trying to wrap around a story around weird occurrences, so to say. I think it is.
That's a nice way. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, on my side, I think I have to go with The Witcher. Yeah, I know I'm 5 years late or 4 years late, but The Witcher 3 was my favorite game. I mean, everyone knows The Witcher. I don't have to go into why it is my favorite game of the year. It was also my quarantine game, and I will always remember it for that. So it was perfect. Like, stuck at home playing The Witcher 3. It's not that a bad experience, right? I would
can't imagine a lot of better things.
But I would give a shout out and a close second to, well, not close second, but a second to A Way Out. And I know it's a very simple game. It's a co-op game, but it was a very, very nice experience that I shared with my girlfriend. And man, that final twist.
I don't know if we should say it, because also me and my girlfriend had the same experience.
So I will not say anything more, but it is a game made to be played co-op. You cannot play it any other way, and it is a fascinating experience, and I would recommend to anyone to play this game with someone, even if they are not into games. It is it's good for gamers and non-gamers, I would say.
Yeah, I think they start very simple and then slowly bring in the usual gaming tropes of how games work, and then people, while they're playing it, can learn it if they don't. If they're not accustomed to it.
Yeah, at least one of them has to be a gamer and has to,
I would say so. Yeah.
be familiarized with some aspects of third-person shooters or third-person games. But that's about it. That person can carry the other one if needed. But in the end, I mean, we were almost equal in some levels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, I don't have to care for you. I don't have to care about you. You can do your thing. I can do my thing, and we will reach the end at the same time. But yeah, fascinating experience. I would recommend. But I mean, The Witcher 3 is on another level. Nothing that compares. So yeah, The Witcher 3, my favorite game.
And The Witcher 3 will be remastered with ray tracing and whatever you want. So there's a good reason to still jump into it after Cyberpunk.
I guess. But yeah, Cyberpunk comes first, right? Before going back to The Witcher. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, after this very long intro, which is very interesting, we go into our topic today, which is
a very current topic.
How to be native on or how to be native on TikTok. So how to make your ads native on TikTok. So I just want to give a short intro on what TikTok is. I mean, by now everyone on this planet knows what TikTok is because it has already 2 billion downloads worldwide. And then we can discuss a little bit of what makes an ad on TikTok native, elements of a successful TikTok ad that we have experienced ourselves, that we know that work, how to make, so on the production side, how to you can make your own native content, and finally, how native content works against the typical ads, right? So you have a normal ad that you would use on Facebook or Instagram or any other platform, and how this native content performs against these typical ads on the TikTok ad platform. So a little bit shorter, a short intro on TikTok. TikTok is also known as Douyin in China, is the latest social media giant. You have seen it, probably you have experienced it. It has videos ranging from 3 to 60 seconds. You also know it probably because it was almost banned in the US. It is banned in India. As I said before, 2 billion downloads worldwide. And what I want to say also about this is that if you have 2 billion downloads worldwide, it's not only kids hanging out in that app that idolize mega TikTok stars like Charli D'Amelio. There's content for everyone, and there's people of all ages in this platform. So if you think that you can only put ads on TikTok for younger people, you are wrong. And there's a lot of potential for every demographic there. So, as every big social media platform, it uses also ads to monetize and generate revenue. And these ads appear in the endless scroll of videos, right? So, my first question is, since the ads appear in the endless scroll of videos, what makes a TikTok video native? So what elements does a video has to have to be considered native on TikTok?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a question that actually has a lot of more facets than what you might think at first. I remember when we wanted to start with TikTok, it was always the joke that we would start dancing to a song and point at things on the screen, because that was the big thing that everyone considered TikTok to be. And I also think that's still what many people think of TikTok, or think of the content on TikTok first. But ultimately, as you already said, there's a lot of different people on TikTok from different age groups and different interest groups. And slowly there's also different styles that developed on the platform overall. And it's already far beyond just simple dances. So you can also have a lot of comedy skits, you have people just reviewing things, you can have people, that properly give you an intro to a product, for example, not even necessarily just advertising. And you can tap into all of these features, right?
Yeah, and also the type of, you mentioned the type of content, what they do, but also the industry or types of products that they show. So you have sports content, you can have, as you mentioned, comedy content. History, military, it's endless, and every person could find some stuff for them, I would say. Right?
Definitely. And then any of these categories really has also kind of trends in itself and very typical ways of showing this content. For example, I'm of course always focused on gaming, but I also saw some makeup products, for example, where it's very typical to, for example, use the full screen, point with your finger, and show the different ingredients of whatever is in that makeup product, right? So if you, for example, have a very healthy product, you would kind of emphasize this. And users do that themselves, but I've also seen already some of the industry already picking this up. And of course, that is then also very native content to that specific group that already uses this kind of content at the same time. So that will be native, for example, to that subsection of TikTok.
Yeah, so I would say that a TikTok, native TikTok content doesn't necessarily have to be dancing. If you have that assumption, forget about it. There's a lot more to it. But in order to be similar to a normal post on the platform, I would say that usually it has to feature a voiceover. I don't know if you would agree. Either a voiceover or a song. So sound is very important in this platform. It is turned on by default. So when you log into Facebook, for example, or Instagram stories, even Snapchat, I think, the sound is turned off for default. But on TikTok, it's on. And if you open the app, you're in class or you're at work, and you think you have your sound off, and you open TikTok, oh my God, you're going to hear some songs. So I would say sound is very, very important, and you should take it into account. It can be either a song or a voiceover or someone explaining something. Super important. So those are my two first elements that I would add that they should be on an ad if you're trying to make an ad native on TikTok. My second one would be text. So if you dived into the platform, you know that on the native platform that you can use to upload content, labels are very prominent, and you can use it to explain maybe the sounds or give a little bit of storytelling to the viewer. So I would say that text is the second one. I wouldn't say it's as important as sound, but it is a close second, and it's present in a lot of posts. So I would say it's another element that makes a TikTok native.
Yeah, it also helps to structure the ads themselves a little bit. So you may be talking about something, but still your headlines that you want to bring across while you do your voiceover might get lost if you don't give them also a written headline that someone can follow up on at the same time.
All right. So we have sound or voice. We have sound, so it can either be a song or voiceover. We have labels or with text. Do you have any other element that might make a TikTok native content native?
I mean, there are a few, but I don't think there would be necessities necessarily. As I already said, I think the subsection that you want to target, you should look at that first and then get a feeling of what content in that subsection feels like, and then try to emulate that. But I think one last aspect is production value. And that can also be for some of the advertisers an issue, actually, because if you really want to go native, production value for ads is probably rather low, and you might not actually be exactly happy with what you're putting out there. But still, if you have weak audio performance, or if you have weak image quality because you're filming something with your phone, don't be discouraged by that, because it just fits the content very well. That's just what you see on TikTok. And if you go in there with a highly produced ad that has perfect studio sound, perfect lighting, it will just look more fake than anything at the end, and not look like native content anymore.
Yeah, it will feel completely out of place because it's not made with the tools that the videos that are on the platform are produced with. And that's the reality.
And we will get into this, I guess. But
exactly. So we have that point
producing
later.
This.
We have that point later on how to make your own content native, and it is simpler than you might think. A lot simpler. So I will move to we know what makes a TikTok native ad. The second point would be, how can we make this ad successful? So strategies that we found in our ads that made a TikTok ad successful. You can fire away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were looking into this. As a background, we are leveraging our workforce also when it comes to producing TikToks at the moment. So, of course, we've been following up on which versions of it really stand out and work well. Not actually even comparing it to traditional ads, but really comparing this native approach amongst itself.
Yep.
And one thing that seems to be very clear at this moment is that really diving into the game and emphasizing aspects of the game is a very, very important part. So having your storytelling properly laid out, with clearly stating what the game is, clearly stating what is happening on the screen, and then also clearly saying what the goal of this whole thing is, goes a long way at the moment. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I also have storytelling, so put yourself in the shoes of someone that is playing the game and show the experience of that person playing the game goes a long way. Because I mean, it is similar to another type of content that it's successful on the platform. So you have these content creators showing what they're doing on their game. So you have people playing, it can be Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, it can be Minecraft. You have people showing what they're doing in their games and kind of showing what they can do on your game, kind of emulates that, and works very well as an ad too. So storytelling would be one of the things, and you already mentioned the other one. Highlighting unique aspects of the game also works very well for us, I would say. And you also touched on this point. We are leveraging our workforce because we have people from different backgrounds that speak different languages, and we can adapt the ad to each geo. So I would say that's a third point, that it's very important to localize the ad, and especially the voiceover. We mentioned that voiceovers and the sound is very important. If you have the possibility of localizing that voiceover, that would make wonders for you, because you will be ahead of the competition. In our case, we can record ads in English, we can record ads in German, we can record ads in French and Spanish, because we have that workforce that allows us to do that. And I mean, the content will feel much better if it's delivered in the language of the person that is watching the content. So localizing the voiceover, localizing the ad is a given, but localizing the voiceover, since it's so important, it goes a long way. And I also have another one, which is adapting current TikTok trends. And this kind of goes into the next topic, but I'll go that later. You should download the app and see what kind of content, and I think you also mentioned this before, see what kind of content is working, what kind of content pops up, what kind of content is trending. And if you take those you can take those learnings, those type of content, and adapt it to your own game. So if there are videos saying, Now I'm going to do a series about tips on how to play this game. Because there's a lot of videos about this on the gaming side. You can adapt this content to your game and create tips on how to play your game and use it as an ad, because that will probably work, because it's a content that it's already on the platform and people will not see it so clearly as an ad, and make them more likely to download the app or game and try it out. Do you have any other elements that might make a TikTok ad successful besides these? We have the storytelling, we have highlighting unique aspects of the game, localizing, especially the voiceover, and adapting TikTok trends to your game.
No, that is mainly it. I mean, we could still talk about how long should something like this be, or should you always mention that you should download the game at the end, a call to action, or any of these things. But the truth is we don't really have that experience yet. So especially when it comes to leaving out call to action, having call to action. I also don't think length so far seems to have been an important factor. Maybe we should mention that our TikToks have been longer than 30 seconds in the past, and have been successful nonetheless, even though you would think best practice says otherwise, right? Sticking to the 8 seconds or something like this.
Exactly.
But that might also be another characteristic of being native. So content can be longer because it already feels like not like an ad anymore, right? That could be a thing. You mentioned localization. You said it helps a lot, but it's also a requirement at this moment. So you won't be advertising in Spain if you speak English, for example, at the moment, right? French or France the same way right now. There are some exceptions where you don't have to localize, but if you want to go broad and tackle all the markets, you will have to localize, actually.
Exactly. So I will go into our next point, which is how can you make your own content? So what tools do we use to make these ads, right? And before anything else, I would say, before making anything, download the app. So download TikTok, get familiarized with the videos, get familiarized with the style, get familiarized with the trends. See what is trending. Get a feel of what people are doing there. Don't get too hooked, because there's a potential that you might get a little bit hooked, because this platform is very, very addicting. You'll see. But yeah, get a feel of what people are doing there before trying to make content that will fit into that style, I would say. I would say it's one of the most important elements before starting producing content. You have to know where you want to put the content, and that's the way to do it. So that would be my first point. I give you to the next one. What do we do to make our native content?
Yeah, for me it's still funny how we produce these things. It also every time it feels very weird, and then especially to put it out, even weirder. For me it was a shock. Not a shock necessarily, but I always thought people are recording inside the TikTok app. I'm not even sure if that's properly possible for most of the content that I see there. I guess for some it is. Anyway, we are not doing that at the moment. We have a very simple, very streamlined way of doing this. So we're obviously simply using our phone and our PCs at the moment. We are advertising a mobile app, but we're not even using the mobile client at the moment. And we simply, point our phone at the screen, do our intro while we record the first time. We pause. So that is one very, very important aspect, at least to my mind. Of course, that still stands to be proven ultimately with the coming weeks and months. But to keep the ad dynamic, it seems to be very important to also slice your clip into aspects or little chapters. So you do your intro, you stop the recording, you think of the next part that you want to highlight, you start recording, record that, stop recording, and go to the next point. I think it's also quite important At least for me, visually, it's quite important not to always show the same image. It's important to vary the camera angles a little bit, so to say. So it always looks a bit different, maybe add some movements here and there. But I think then the most important part already is to slice the video in aspects that you want to show off. That's also where then the text labels come into play. Once all these clips are recorded, we have different apps on Play Store, on iOS. I know iOS is a little bit more difficult with these apps, but on Play Store there's quite some variety that is even free if you want it to be. Where you can just simply drop all the clips in. They will be already sorted in the right order that you recorded them. You just add your text boxes, you put it all together, save it, and that's pretty much it already. As I already mentioned, it probably makes sense not to overproduce, rather keep it lean and have more ideas than produce one thing for a whole day. And that seems to be the way to go for the moment.
Do you want to give a shout out to the editing app that you're using?
I think at this point we should, right? UCut is pretty awesome. And, they have a paid version, but you can even use it just using ads. And it's a very convenient app that works flawlessly on Android.
Yeah, on Android. On the iOS side, it's a little bit trickier. You already know this from experience probably that the premium apps are more prominent on iOS than Android. I used Splice. You can have a 7-day trial, I think, and then you have a paid version. Right now I'm using InShot. Also pretty convenient, I would say. We're not sponsored by any of these apps, I gotta say. But they're pretty awesome to do the job. So just to summarize, basically what you need to do to create content is first download the TikTok app and see what content is there. Then you just need a phone and maybe another phone where the game is, or a screen on a computer where the game is. You need your voice explaining what you are recording or the situation that you are showing in the game or the element that you are showing. And that's about it. And then you need an app, and then you need an app to edit that you can do the edit in 10 minutes or less, where you put all the videos together. And it's that easy, right?
It was never this easy to create ads for anything.
Exactly.
It is amazing.
So you can just have an idea on the go, you're working, and say, oh my God. Or you're even scrolling endlessly through TikTok and say, oh, I could adapt this to our game. Let's note it down and then ask our art person, our art specialist to do this. No. I can just grab my phone, go to my PC, record the thing, and I'm done. And I have a new ad to test tomorrow or in the same day. It's that easy, and it's shocking, I know. But it's working wonders.
I think it's pretty awesome to get this power into our hands now. And we don't need a professional person to set all this up. We just have the idea and make it happen and see the next day already if it works or not. At the same time, it's also highly crucial, right? We've seen ads running dry in a matter of 3 to 4 days. So a solid rotation of content is definitely important.
Exactly. So we are now maybe 5 or 6 ads ahead. So every time we see a campaign that is not working anymore, so prices are rising or the paying users are not coming in, we just start a new campaign with the 2 new ads, and we already have them prepared. At this point, for us, it is a good decision or a good investment of our time to save one morning a week to just produce TikTok ads. I would say. I mean, you said it. You said it this week, right?
It's true. It's a very easy calculation. The amount of people coming in per ad. I can sit down for 10 minutes for that.
Because it is how long it takes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your neighbors might seem you're crazy because you're repeating the same thing over and over again until you get it perfectly. But even it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, because you're trying to emulate content that is on the platform that is not 100% perfect always.
It's probably charming to be not perfect.
Exactly. So, we know what makes a TikTok content native. We know what makes it successful, and we know how to make it. So, once we put it live, how can we expect it to perform against normal ads? So the incredibly polished ads that you had for Facebook or Instagram, how can we expect that to perform? I would go ahead and say these ads get way more traction. So that would be my first comment. These ads get way more traction than the normal ads because they feel like they belong in the platform. We had games with polished ads that would try to advertise on TikTok, and we couldn't spend any money. I think you remember, you tried that. We couldn't spend any money, but then we went in with our native approach, and suddenly we were maximizing our budget every day. Not necessarily profitably, but we were getting that traction. I think
once we switched to this style of advertising, it was profitable right away, actually, because it's not just the volume that is amazing, but it's just every metric that you could look at just looks a little bit better compared to traditional ads. We did get some good value actually from traditional ads, but in the long run, they're just not as usable on the platform. But if you now talk in traditional terms for the native ads, click rate or swipe rate, no, click rate actually in case of TikTok, it's a lot higher, and the conversion rate likewise. So this makes the whole thing not just volume-wise a lot more interesting, but also pricing-wise a lot more interesting. And in our experience, user value is not really lower compared to traditional advertising. You might think because of how cheaply it is produced that it attracts the wrong people in the end. But for us, so far, retention value has actually been quite high compared to traditional advertising.
Exactly. So we have we have lower acquisition costs using this approach. For more or less the same value, we haven't noticed any dip compared to polished normal ads, let's say. And at the same time, it spends its budget. So we get more for less, and the value keeps coming in. So it's a big win. It's a big win, and totally a game changer for us. And it's making TikTok one of the best and most important channels for our games right now. Yeah. Do you have any other comment?
No, that's pretty much it. It's better all around. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end, if we summarize.
If you summarize, you already know, you know what we try to do to make our ads native. You know what makes our native ads work, how we make them, and what can you expect from using those on your TikTok ad platform. I think there's nothing else we can add at the moment. So I think that's it for today.
One thing that we could mention here is we are already trying those ads also on other platforms. And there is positive results, at least on a very similar platform right now.
That is true. That is an interesting point to bring. We used these ads on Snapchat. And
makes sense.
I mean, it is a
very similar.
Very similar. I don't know if it's very
similar.
The
platform itself was very different. But
exactly. But
how the content is presented is similar. Right?
Exactly. So you have the 9:16 portrait,
sound
on type of content. I feel like Snapchat is a little bit more polished right now is a little bit more polished than TikTok. But still, we have seen some positive results. They are very early, so we cannot comment a little bit too much on it. But we have seen a lot of potential there, and we'll keep testing. We also have a test running on Facebook. Let's see how that goes. But we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, this TikTok topic, it really grew a lot. I think it blew past our expectations in the last few months. I'm also especially curious how it will work over the Christmas time. Because, of course, we already see our traditional channels being more difficult going towards Black Friday, probably towards Christmas again, difficult. And since the overall pricing level on TikTok is so low, even if the price would go up, it doesn't matter so much at this moment. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We are recording this during Black Friday week,
Right.
and we are not slowing down. So we are seeing all the other channels slowing down because the CPMs are going up, and as a consequence, acquisition costs are going up. TikTok costs are going up, but that doesn't make a difference at the moment because it's so cheap, and the campaigns are still profitable. We're really excited to see how this pans out in the next few months. Is it sustainable? I mean, it has 2 billion users, right? So we have a lot of users to burn through.
It probably has more active users than Facebook now at this moment. At least
at
if we
this
talk about
moment,
the Facebook app.
Yeah, it is likely. So yeah, maybe we can do another episode in 3 months
And see how it went.
and see how it went. So if you are starting now, just go to the episode in 3 months, and you can listen to it and see if this is still accurate. If you are listening to us right now, it's the time to invest in a little bit on TikTok. Yeah, and give it a shot.
Pull out your phone, point it at the screen. Tell them about whatever you need to talk about.
Yeah. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy to try it out. Not ashamed, but don't be shy to try it out. And it's quite funny. You'll get some messages from your friends that got your ad. That's pretty funny as well. That is it for us.
All right.
Have a great week, day, morning,
summary.
afternoon. Interesting summary. And talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening.